Today, we are diving deep into a hidden global industry, the identity theft market. Now, we're not talking about some lone hacker guessing your password. We're talking about a cold, calculated system, a marketplace where your most personal information is bought and sold just like any other commodity. Let's just start with this, because it's a deeply unsettling fact about the world we all live in now. Your social security number, your home address, your mother's maiden name, the secrets that define you, they're being traded right this second in a sort of digital bulk bin. Your entire identity, it has a price tag, and you'd be shocked at just how low it is. And there it is, $1.50. For less than what you'd pay for a soda from a vending machine, someone can buy the keys to your entire financial kingdom. And this isn't just a name and an email address. No, this is the starting bid for what's known on the dark web as a fulls, the full package of your information. It's a chilling reality. Yourself has been turned into a product. And the real danger here isn't some super complex movie-style hack. It's the simple, unchanging info about you, your date of birth, your social security number, your mother's maiden name. This is what security experts call static data because, well, it's permanent. You can't change it. And for criminals, that makes it the absolute perfect master key to waltz past a bank's security and authorize a heist on your credit. So how does this whole system actually work? Here's the roadmap for our investigation. First, we're going to see exactly how your identity is put up for sale. Then, we'll explore something called the ghosting trap and its devastating consequences. We'll break down the criminal's 5-step playbook, and then we're going to look at the psychology that makes all of us so vulnerable. But most importantly, we'll then build a practical fortress to defend ourselves before ending with a really crucial shift in how we think about security. So, let's start at the very beginning. We're going to explore the core paradox of this entire system, how your unique personal identity is processed, packaged, and sold with the same industrial efficiency as, say, a shipment of light bulbs. This right here, this reveals the profound disconnect that's at the heart of the problem. On the left, you see identity the way we experience it, singular, deeply personal, a representation of our very self. But on the right, that's how a data broker on the dark web sees it, as bulk inventory. To them, your secrets aren't sacred, they're just features of a product. You're not a person. You're just another line item in a wholesaler's spreadsheet. Now, this is the question that gives most people a totally false sense of security. You think, hey, no news is good news, right? But that silence is exactly the cover a predator needs. See, they don't want to alert you by making some small, weird charge on your credit card. Their goal is much, much bigger than that. And this is how they use that silence. Scammers don't just steal your identity, they use it as a seed. They'll take one real piece of your information, like a valid social security number, and they'll combine it with completely fabricated data to build an entirely new, fraudulent person. The scariest part? Banks and credit bureaus often trust this synthetic identity. This new persona can then open credit cards, take out loans, and rack up massive debt, all while the real you has absolutely no idea it's even happening. So now let's see how this builds into something far more sinister, what's known as the institutional ghosting trap. This is the point where the victim doesn't just lose money, they are, for all practical purposes, erased from the financial system. It's absolutely essential to understand the criminal's true objective here. This isn't some petty theft for a few bucks from your checking account. The goal is a total liquidation of your entire financial worth and credit history. They want to squeeze every last drop of value from your good name and then just discard the husk. And the consequences are just total. This is what financial erasure looks like. It means a criminal can use your social security number to get a ghost mortgage on a property you've never even seen, or steal your tax return directly from the government. And as they rack up bad debt in your name, it tanks your real credit score. But the impact goes so far beyond money. It's the deep psychological trauma of realizing you've lost control over your own name, your own financial life. Okay, so now we're going to break down the clinical, step-by-step business model that makes this whole crime so repeatable and, frankly, terrifyingly efficient. This isn't chaos, it's a calculated intelligence operation.
See, this isn't random. It's a structured 5-stage industrial process. It starts with infiltration and harvesting. That's the initial breach, where hackers steal huge databases from companies, grabbing millions of records for their bulk inventory. Stage 2 is verification. The raw data is tested. Bots check if the stolen logins still work, which dramatically increases the price. Stage 3 is retail extraction. This is where a buyer uses the verified fulls package to create those synthetic identities and start extracting value, opening credit cards, taking out loans. Stage 4 is the exit. Before the fraud is detected, the criminals cash out. The identity is burned, and any leftover data is sold off cheap. And finally, stage 5, credit contamination. The cycle ends with you, the victim, left with a shattered credit history and a financial nightmare to clean up.
To really get this cycle, you have to understand the product being sold. A fulls package isn't just a stolen password. It is the complete toolkit needed for a criminal to become you in the eyes of a bank, a credit card company, or even the government. It's the raw material for the entire fraud operation. Now check this out, because this shows just how much of a business this is. Raw, unverified data from a massive breach is cheap, maybe $1 a record. But then brokers use automated bots, often called checkers, that test your stolen credentials against live websites like your bank or email. The moment your login is confirmed to still work, boom, the value of your identity skyrockets, sometimes by 20 times or even more. It's a sophisticated market built on verification and efficiency. And for the victim, the cycle ends here, with what can only be described as the shattered mirror effect. You go to buy a house, only to be told you already own 3 properties you've never seen and owe $500,000 to banks you've never heard of. You're left with a name that is no longer yours, facing a mountain of financial wreckage. So we've seen the what and the how. Now let's talk about the why. This entire criminal system doesn't just exploit technology, it exploits our own psychology. Let's explore the mental shortcuts and blind spots that make every single one of us vulnerable. Scammers thrive on this exact feeling, which has a name: security nihilism. It's that sense of helplessness we all get after hearing about yet another massive data breach. We start to think, my data is already out there, so why even bother? And this fatalism, this hopelessness, leads us to abandon the small, simple security practices that actually work, creating the perfect environment for these predators to operate in. And this comparison illustrates the core exploit perfectly. Your bank sees security questions about your mother's maiden name as a verification process, but the scammer, they see them as keys to a vault. They exploit our built-in trust in the system, our reflex to comply and answer questions because we assume it means we're safe. They turn the very systems designed to protect you into weapons to be used against you. So when you boil it all down, here's the key insight. The primary target isn't your computer. It's our entire society's reliance on static, permanent data as the ultimate proof of identity. They turn your own permanence, your unchangeable history, into the very thing that ruins you. They're not just hacking you, they are hacking the system of trust itself. Okay, we've gone through the system. Now we shift from forensic analysis to direct action. And this is not about fear, it's about empowerment. Here is your strategic guide to defending yourself. So this is the key strategic question we have to ask ourselves. The goal is not to become invisible. In today's world, that's just impossible. The goal is to become what security experts call a high-cost, low-value target. You want to create just enough friction that a criminal, data broker, who is totally focused on efficiency and profit, will simply skip over your file and move on to one of the millions of easier targets. This single action is your single most powerful defense. Think of it as your freeze shield. In the US, there are 3 major credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. When you freeze your credit with all 3 of them, you block anyone from opening new accounts in your name. Period. This one move makes a stolen social security number functionally useless to a buyer because it can't use it to open new lines of credit. It instantly makes your data nearly worthless on their market. Next, you have got to fundamentally change how you look at security questions. They are not memory tests, they're just another form of password. So you should use what I call the nonsense answers script. Open up your password manager. When a site asks for your mother's maiden name, do not type the real answer. Instead, generate and save a random string of characters like blue giraffe 72 star. Your real personal history is probably already in a breached database somewhere. A random string is not. So here it is, your practical defense checklist. And look, these aren't suggestions, they are strategic necessities. First, freeze your credit. We just covered it, it's your #1 priority. Second, use an authenticator app for multi-factor authentication. Please avoid using SMS text messages for your codes. They can be intercepted. Third, do a credential audit. Use a password manager. Make sure you are never ever reusing passwords. If one site gets breached, you don't want criminals to have the key to everything. Fourth, bookmark identitytheft.gov. It's the official government resource for recovery. Know where it is before you need it. Finally, think about using monitoring tools. These services can alert you the moment your data appears for sale on the dark web, giving you a critical head start. Each one of these steps creates that friction we talked about. Okay, let's bring this all home. We'll conclude by solidifying the core lesson from this entire system. Because this isn't just about tools, it's about reframing your relationship with digital security for the world we actually live in. The ultimate takeaway is this fundamental shift in perspective. You have to stop seeing yourself as a potential victim in a chaotic world and start acting as the active defender of your own identity. Where the data broker sees a line in a spreadsheet ripe for liquidation, you have to see a fortress with strategic defenses that you control. Adopting this simple mantra and really taking it to heart can fundamentally change your entire security posture. It's a commitment to action. I freeze my credit protects your name. I silo my passwords prevents one breach from becoming a total disaster. And I never assume a secret is still a secret acknowledges the reality that your static data is already out there, and your defense has to be built for that new reality. And this brings us to the final, crucial point. We have to accept that in an age of massive, constant data breaches, the idea of perfect privacy is an illusion. We can't ultimately control where our data ends up. But what we can control with 100% certainty are the choices we make to secure ourselves against those who would exploit it. Security isn't a feature someone gives you, it is a choice you make every single day.